residents have long admired the beautiful boulevards and homes of Holly Hills, and here to tell us about the neighborhood is Michael Dauphin, Vice President of the Holly Hills Improvement Association. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Raynah.
The first thing you have to do is talk about the name Holly Hills and how that neighborhood even came to have that name.
Sure. This would have been the early 1920s. There were three developers who bought this big plot of land that is now Holly Hills, and their names were Federer and Livingston and Arendes. And they bought this plot of land and they wanted to model it after Hollywood and Beverly Hills, and they wanted to kind of market it at this really glamorous place. And they built these big, beautiful homes. And as they're in the process of doing that, the Great Depression came, and so then they had to kind of scale back on some of the homes. So what you have in Holly Hills is, all the homes are beautiful, but they kind of vary in size from like bungalow style to these big, beautiful, 100-year-old brick homes, and that's kind of how it all started, and that's where they got the name. So it's not really like Hollywood or Beverly Hills, but it's still pretty great. Yeah.
So you get the Holly from Hollywood and the Hills from Beverly Hills and
Correct.
smush it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And you said they started building right around the early 1900s, 1920s?
Yes.
When Hollywood was in its prime,
Right.
And that's why it was such a big deal to try and make St. Louis the Hollywood of
it was
Midwest.
it was supposed to be the Hollywood of St. Louis, and in certain ways it is. We have a lot of interesting folks that have gone on, that grew up in the neighborhood, that have gone into Hollywood, and rock stars, and that currently live in the neighborhood, and politicians and public servants.
Oh, like who? Name drop.
Like historically, Butch O'Hare is from the neighborhood, and he's of course who the O'Hare Airport's named after in Chicago, and he was a World War II flying ace, and he was actually born and raised in the Holly Hills neighborhood, and then he moved out and went on to have a great career. And then we have the circuit attorney currently lives in our neighborhood, and the chief of the fire department. We have lawyers and judges and other public servants, and we have the founding member of Uncle Tupelo and Sun Volt, which is a great St. Louis rock and roll band. And my favorite celebrity, if you want to call him that, from our neighborhood is a guy who used to live across the street from me. He's no longer alive, but a lot of St. Louisans know him, and his name is Stan Can. And he was the house organist at the Fox for a really long time, and he was friends with Phyllis Diller, and he went out to Hollywood, and he ended up having more appearances on the Johnny Carson show than anyone ever had. He was on the show for 77 times, and he was just this really quirky, eccentric guy who was a continuous guest on the show, and people got a kick out of him, and he's from the neighborhood as well.
And one of the really interesting things about Holly Hills is that, you just named a bunch of really well-known people, but it's a pretty diverse neighborhood where you don't have to be some very wealthy human being to live happily over there.
It's a modest neighborhood. You could see a big, beautiful mansion-style home and an old beat-up minivan parked in front of it. We're pretty modest. It's not all glitz and glamour by any means. It's a good, hard-working neighborhood with... It's like my neighbors kind of call it Mayberry. It's really quiet, and it's a great community. I think one thing that really speaks to it is in 2000 there was a census, and there were 3,705 people in our neighborhood. And a lot of the city neighborhoods between 2000 and 2010, they saw a lot of folks leaving the city and moving out. And in the 2010 census, there were 3,701 people. So we lost 4 people. Basically, one family moved out in 10 years.
Wow.
And I think it's a testament to the folks that live in that neighborhood really love it. And I grew up there, and that's where I live now. And I'm not unique. Several, the majority of the neighborhood, these are folks that have lived there for a really long time, and this is where they want to stay.
You brought some amazing pictures. Let's take a quick look at them, and
Sure.
then we're going to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
The first picture is this one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home on the corner of Holly Hills and Livingston, and that's a stairwell, what you see there, that big, beautiful corner of the house, and that's just one of several really pretty homes in the neighborhood, and that's one that people love to drive by. Mm-hmm. Same here. These are just more beautiful homes going up and down Holly Hills. You can see these were some of the houses that were the what we would consider the the big homes when they first started building the neighborhood out.
Right.
And then here's a picture of my favorite park in St. Louis, and that's the boathouse at Cronolette Park. And this is, I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with Cronolette Park. It's a great place, and it's the third biggest city in the park, and I think it's the prettiest.
All right, we're going to look at these pictures again in a minute. We have to take a quick break.
Sounds good.
But when we come back, we'll go back to the pictures and talk some more about those, okay? There's more with the Holly Hills Improvement Association after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to STL Live. I'm Raynah Rey, and I'm joined by Michael Dauphin of the Holly Hills Improvement Association. I'm in love with Holly Hills already.
Great, you should come on moving in.
You know what? I'm gonna think about that, because it really does look like the kind of place that you want your family to live. You want to jump in the car on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and just go to that neighborhood.
It's a beautiful neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got some exciting things going on in the community and coming up. Let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, we have some exciting things. The newest addition to the neighborhood is a restaurant that's opening up called the Stellar Hog, and that is a barbecue restaurant that's going in an old bar. It used to be called the Bungalow, and it's on Leona. And Alex, the guy who's opening this restaurant, he was at Pappy's, and he helped start Adam's Smokehouse, both really reputable barbecue places here in St. Louis and in the region. And now he's opening a spot in our neighborhood, and we couldn't be more excited about it. And then on top of that, we have the bike races in Cronolette Park every Tuesday, and those are great. You can see a picture here.
So what happens? What exactly is the bike
Every
race?
Tuesday evening, they have these races. Big Shark, which is a local bike store, they sponsor these races, and there will be anywhere between 150, 200 riders that make these big loops in the park. They call them criterion training races is what they are. And there's 3 different flights, basically, of skill levels of racers. And this will go, for a few hours on a Tuesday night, and folks come up and they bring a cooler and they watch the bikes go by. And
Who are these bikers?
they're just people from all over the city and county. It's anyone is welcome to join. I'm sure if you got a hold of Big Shark, they could tell you exactly how to sign up. But they come from all over, and I know they do because I'll be coming home from work which is in Clayton, and I'll see them as far as almost Clayton. I know where they're heading. They're all heading to South City to ride in these training races.
And that speaks volumes to the neighborhood, that its arms are so open wide. That
Yeah, and we love to have them. And when they get off, then they immediately go to a place like MJ's on the Park, or which is a great bar on Grand Avenue, or Taco Circus, which is a restaurant in the neighborhood, and or the Heavy Anchor, which is this great bar and concert venue. And all these businesses are happy to have them, and usually they work up a thirst or a hunger, and that's what they do after their race.
What does someone who's only hearing about Holly Hills for the first time today, as we're talking, what do they need to know about Holly Hills?
They just need to come to Cronolette Park and soak it in. That's what they need to know. And I'm on the Holly Hills Improvement Association board, and we have regular meetings, and we're actually we're having a circuit attorney candidate forum this Friday at the YMCA Recplex, which is at Loughborough and 55, and that's this Friday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. And we're going to have all the candidates that are running for the circuit attorney's position. We're going to have them all there, and they're going to, they're going to introduce themselves, and so we have a lot of exciting things going on, and we welcome anyone to come check out the neighborhood. And if you just want to use one of our businesses and get a meal, or if you want to buy a house, we're happy to have you.
It seems like one of those neighborhoods where it's really a family.
It's a good family environment, and it's a good place for anyone. I mean, whether you're just wanting to rent, or if you want to buy a forever home, or whatever you want to do, we're happy to have you, and it's a good, quiet, safe neighborhood.
Let's look at those pictures one more time.
Sure.
They're so beautiful.
They are.
I don't want to let it go, or we don't look at them. One is, that absolutely looks like something from the Roaring 20s Hollywood.
Yeah, that's a fancy home, and probably a little too rich for my blood, but one of these days maybe I'll get to live in a house like that. But that's a beautiful home. It's just a block away from where I live, and there's always brake lights in front of that house. People like to slow down and take that one in. Yeah.
Take pictures,
Yeah.
sure. And then one of my favorites is, we'll get to it in a minute, the one in the park. But
Oh yeah. And like I said, Cronolette Park. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on there. We're working on getting a wild
That
bird
one.
sanctuary
I
in
love
there.
that picture.
Yeah, that's the boathouse. People have weddings in there. It's a good place for people to go and get their wedding pictures. When I was 12 years old, I got a picture in the Southside Journal of me fishing on that dock right there. And people still fish in that lake all the time.
I know. I took my son fishing there once.
Yeah. You catch anything?
He did.
Oh, good for
He
him.
threw it back though.
Yeah, well, that's good.
He did.
The catch and release guy. But yeah, so it's a great park, and there's a lot for everyone. So I'd encourage anyone to check it out.
Great. Well, we have to run. I wish we could sit and
No,
talk
thanks
more
for having me.
because
This is great.
It's really an exciting neighborhood.
Yeah, thanks, Raynah.
For more information on the Holly Hills Improvement Association, visit hollyhills.info. There's more STL Live after this. Stay with us.